I found out through Gio on the Sad Weirdo show that you hung out with Spanish this weekend.
I did.
How'd that go?
It went well.
Yeah?
It went well.
None of us have talked to Spanish.
I know. I'm aware.
Amazing.
Did that come up?
Yeah, a lot. I talked to him for 2 hours, I think.
Okay, oh, really?
So he came by the cafe, and I hit him up 2 or 3 times, and he kind of hum and hawed. Oh, yeah, let's go meet up tomorrow, and then he not say anything. So this third time, I was like, you're very consistent.
Yeah.
Okay, like you're cool, then you're not. So then he finally goes, I'm coming over. So he came over. We talked for a couple hours.
How's he doing?
I think he's doing okay. I think he's still got stuff going on. Okay. Yeah. I needled him. I was at him. I'm trying to figure out what's going on. So I asked him relevant questions. I said, "Are you taking drugs?"
Right.
Because I think that's what everybody's worried about. I don't think he's taking any more drugs than he ever has. Okay?
That's not a good thing either.
Well, once again, I don't know how much but I don't think anything has changed. I do think his anxiety level is very, very high because.
Well, so yours would be too if you lost 2 jobs.
Well, that's part, but I think the anxiety is leading to this.
Okay.
And he can tell his skin is not doing well.
Yeah.
Okay. But I don't know if that's from drugs. I don't know.
I don't know either,
Yeah.
and I don't know that he does like you said, any more drugs than he ever did before. Right. If you ask me to make an observation based on the facts that I see, that would lead me to think that, but I don't know that that's true.
But I think he just got it treated at the hospital or something. If it's meth, I don't think you go get it treated. You know what I mean? That's just the way it is.
I don't, but I also don't know that he's ever gotten treatment. I'm assuming so, but I don't know that.
Well, I heard Dizzy said he had, so I didn't even hear it from him.
I don't trust the goddamn thing Dizzy said.
And
he also said he was good at Madden football.
Yeah.
And I just think he just he explained a lot of stuff. And I listened to the show when he went out. Okay, so I know everything that happened. And if you look at the way it happened, I would say he deserved what he got. But then if you put your shoes, be in his shoes.
What are his shoes?
Well,
I don't know what his shoes.
Just think about even that day, okay? Because he said something to me that definitely alarm went off. He said self-sabotage, okay? That's a scary thing when you say self-sabotage.
Sure.
That's admitting.
Yeah.
Because I said to him, when you fell asleep on a freaking balcony at whatever time, you knew there was a good chance you wouldn't wake up.
Right.
And he says, yeah, I like to self-sabotage. And I go, that's not a good thing. But the day that he got fired or that big day was the day of his brother's wedding. And all his family's here.
But that also turned out to not be true. His brother's wedding was not that day. It was later in that week.
Well, he wasn't at his brother's.
He told me that just the other day.
Yeah, but he wasn't at his brother's. Yeah. So here's the thing. Here's the thing that made me realize that we had a problem.
Okay.
Is that he kept telling me where he was coming from and where he was.
No, I'm talking later on.
Right, but what I'm saying is that there is no way that you would have been at that intersection if you were coming from Clearwater. So, and the reason why he said he was over there for his brother's wedding, but his brother didn't get married that day.
So his brother
got married later in the week. That was the whole situation. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, he was in and coming from Plant City, and there had been an accident, and he got caught in that traffic. But he was saying he was coming from Clearwater because he was out there for the wedding.
But all his family was in town.
They were in town.
And they were listening to the show.
Oh, really?
Why wouldn't they listen to their son's show?
Right.
And so he's listening to the son's show that he's not on.
Sure.
And the show is talking about him being on meth.
Yeah.
Think about that.
That came up way later.
Yeah.
That did not happen that
this is
day.
A lot of different timelines.
People were calling
there were
up that
people
day.
calling up
Absolutely,
saying that.
they were saying that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Later that day, that someone did call up because they also had an addiction problem, and they said, like, these things that are happening, the way he's speaking, his skin, this and that, it sounds like he's on meth. Sure. None of us said that. It was a caller that called up, but that was later in the day
but that also led into the fact that he had alluded to the fact that he had been with someone who was also dealing with meth and a drug dealer who had been on this show and a whole bunch of things. So
that was information he gave us.
Right.
Not that we,
So now you put together 1 + 1. Yeah. And what do you have?
Once again, I think he deserved what he got.
Yeah.
But it still is not going to make that easy. Because now you got to go to a wedding, and then all your family is asking you if you're on meth.
Yeah, but,
you know what I mean?
But the simple thing would have, you know me, okay? I wasn't trying to fire Spanish.
Sure.
So you could have called me that morning and said, I fell asleep in Plant City and I messed up. And he probably would have gotten in trouble. He may have gotten, I don't know what the work would have done to him. I would have told him to stay home that day. I would have been mad at him. But that's it. I mean, it happens. You wake up late.
You guys did anything wrong.
Right, but what I'm saying is that if you don't want your family to have to deal with that, you don't want to deal with it, then why would you lie and make it worse?
No, but he didn't do anything to help himself.
No.
And the other thing I came to the conclusion was after we had a long, long talk, because I stopped him, I said, okay. And he's just talking about the way he's treated and stuff, on the show, pretty much, okay? And I said, this is the problem.
But what is the way he's treated?
Well, I'm going to...
Because this is a guy who keeps in mind who would thank me every 5 minutes. Thank you so much for everything you do. Thank you for being...
No doubt.
And I'm like, Spanish, thank you.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So I definitely know that as long as I worked in this radio, no one that I've ever worked with has ever been as supportive of the people who work for him than I am. I would do anything for these people, and I think that they all know that. I think I've done a lot for everybody. And he, of all from, I mean, you're talking about a guy who was an intern who we pulled him out of being an intern and made him into something. What he has felt like he was treated like, I don't understand.
Well, I said that to him. Okay, I said, listen, I don't know if anybody's more loyal to you than Mike. I mean, for years, bro. And I go, it kind of reminds me of my marriage a little bit, okay? Because I don't think my wife's a bad person or I'm a bad person. I didn't change.
Yeah.
She changed. So it just didn't work, right? Spanish changed. You didn't change.
No.
But he changed.
Okay.
Like after a while, like I said, you start off as a court jester.
Right.
Then you ended up being this philosopher.
Yeah.
But
you're right.
But you're still on his show. You know what I mean? Right. So you know how radio is.
Yeah.
I mean,
you didn't get here by being a philosopher.
You got to do some stuff you don't want to do sometimes. And I'm going to say this. And I was watching the other day on YouTube that Joe does a wonderful job with.
Thank you, Ian.
And you're welcome. And they had the one segment where he went off and goes, "That's why I hate coming here." He was telling us something. He literally was like, "That's why coming to the show is bad for my anxiety." Like he was yelling out what he really thought at that time. Yeah. And we all thought it was a joke. But sometimes when people tell you something, you should listen.
Right. But also at the same time, it's hard to tell. It's hard to tell a homeless guy how tough life was. You know what I mean? You can't tell me what it's like to have anxiety working on this show because I have done way more and been through way more than he has. And and it's lasted way longer. And also at the end of the day, the heaviness and the weight of the success of this show all falls on my shoulders because I will be the one to lose it one day if it gets so that's the thing. So I have a hard time feeling bad for anybody else's anxiety.
Well, I think ultimately it's better for him not to be in the show.
Yes. But it would have been better for him. Dinah came to me and Dinah was like, "I hate it here. I hate you, and I don't want to be around on the show anymore." And then Dinah found her new show through Ralphie May and went there and was like, "I now get to do my own thing and try it with somebody else, do it my way." And she did it until she was burned out with it. But we were happy for her. We were happy that she left and she used what she learned here to go do something else. And in Spanish's case, I have said to Spanish 1,000 times, if there was a better opportunity for you in this building, I will be the first person to go say, let Spanish go do this. I tried to send him the hot before I realized what a mess that was going to be because I thought he would have been good on hot. You know, so I don't really understand that. It's hard for me to, and I'm certainly not arguing with you about it. You're the middleman.
Look, I said that quite a few times. I said, listen, I'm gonna be good with both of y'all. I like both of y'all, so I'm the one, and I want the best.
I'm not mad at him. Like I feel bad that he screwed things up for himself, but I'm not like, oh, I hate him. You know. I mean, he made things a little weird.
I don't think he thinks that. But I think you both at this point just think because he deals with stuff by not dealing with it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. We all know that. So he just hasn't dealt with this. So now he got to a point where it's going to be weird.
Yeah.
I think you both know that.
Right.
But it also sounds like from your conversation, I don't know, but it sounds like it's always everybody else's fault.
There's a lot of that in it. Yeah. And I've told him that.
I can't deal with people like that. You either got to take responsibility for your own actions or get out of the way.
Understandable. And listen, you could ask him. He said, I had to get courage come talk to you because I come with reality with it. You know, like the last time where he messed up and I said, you finished now? And I go, now you just told me all the reasons why you didn't say anything about you effing up, but you told me everybody else what they did.
Right.
But you didn't say anything about what you did.
Right.
So let's start with that, okay? So I come real with it, but you got to listen to him too. You know what I mean?
Can I be honest? Can I tell you exactly how I feel?
Please.
I would be interested in hearing what he has to say. And this is gonna sound like I'm making a joke. I'm not.
Okay.
I would only be interested in doing it on the show. And I don't mean for ratings reasons, whatever. I don't I don't care. You know what I mean? Like I do care. I care about his well-being and I care about that, but I don't care about having arguments with him about the fact unless we did it on the show, because at that point it could be heard by everybody and they can make their own decisions.
Correct.
And nobody got. Other than that, it's just gonna be my word versus your word, and then it's gonna go back and forth, and it's like, what are we gonna hug at the end?
I personally, I don't know if it could sound good.
Oh, it'll sound.
No, I'm not saying the radio's not gonna be fantastic.
Right.
I don't know if Spanish could present it in a way where it's going to sound good on his side.
You know probably not. He'll probably be too nervous to do that.
Yeah, there's certain things that, if Rob came back on the show, he wouldn't sound good. You see what I'm saying? It just wouldn't sound good.
Yeah.
So I understand him not wanting to come on. I understand.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I'm not sitting here trying to really book that. I'm just saying it's going to be the only way I would do it.
Sure.
I don't, because it's been so long now. I'm like, I'm just curious.
Yeah.
And I am concerned about his health because
his well-being.
I do. I mean, his parents, when he first started working with us, pretty much were like, we don't think this is a good idea, and we don't know, but we like you, and we're gonna leave our son in your hands, And I get it. I got a kid. I get it. And I think that for the next 10 years, he was taken care of and given several opportunities.
Absolutely. And I said to him, I go, do you have somebody to talk to? That's important.
Yeah.
And his answer was, you.
You?
Me.
Yeah. Well,
and that's the first time I talked to him. And I go, dude, you got to talk to people about stuff, dog.
But
you can't keep it inside.
But I mean, what happened to the fact that this girl was the source of all his problems? Why he was picking his face, why he was doing this, why he was doing that.
But he's still picking his face.
But he's still with the girl.
Correct.
So that's my. Do you realize I said to him, he stopped picking his face for a while.
Correct.
He broke up with the girl.
Correct.
And then one day on the air, I go, "You're picking your face again. Are you back with this girl?" And he said, "Yes." And I said, "There you go." So if we're looking at what the evidence is showing you, and none of these problems happened before she was in his life.
Well, I mean, listen.
And then also, and I'm not going to put our business out there, but the things that he told me after they broke up that she had done and that he suspected her of doing, and the things with her drug dealer and all that. How do you trust that person is the one to side with in any situation?
Well, I would see, if you asked me what's the biggest part of the anxiety in his life, I would have to say it would have to be her.
Well,
that's from an outsider looking in. You would say you would look at the signs.
Yeah. Then what is the problem?
You can't get rid of the problem if the source is still there.
Of course. And the source is in full control.
Right now, yeah, absolutely. Because, she's in full control. Because he ain't making no money.
No, yeah. It's a weird situation.
I just want the kid to catch himself.
Yes.
Because I think he's still a good kid.
Also, much like that kid on the boat, he's not a kid anymore. We're all saying kid, but I mean, we're talking about a guy who's almost 40.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.